Alright, in this video we are going to touch another service that is EC2 Elastic Cloud Compute, which is known as Infra as a Service. So basically whenever I am talking about EC2, we are talking about servers, right? Virtual servers. So basically there are multiple capabilities that are being provided by EC2 and hence we are learning EC2 on AWS, right? So one of the functionality, one of the capability of EC2 is it is allowing us to rent the VMs. It is used for storing data. It is used for distributing the loads. It is used for auto scaling. Now, when I say auto scaling, let us break the term auto and scale. So auto stands for automatically and scale stands for. So let's consider an example where multiple users are hitting your website, hitting the server, right? And there are, and due to that, there is a lot of load in your server, right? So auto scaling refers to automatically scaling up the servers, right? And that is how it helps us in EC2. So that's one of the functionality, one of the capability offered by EC2, right? And one more thing, like whenever you are configuring a physical server, it takes nearly an hours of time. It nearly takes a day or two for configuring a single server, right? But when it comes to EC2, there are already predefined templates present and which actually makes your life easier. And those templates are known as Amazon Machine Images, right? So, like, what are the configuration options do we get in EC2, right? So, I have listed on few of the common configuration option which you can use while initiating an EC2 server, right? So, first of all, you can select an operating system. As I mentioned earlier, there are predefined templates already present which will make your life easier. So, you can get multiple distros for Linux, you can see multiple distros for Windows, you can even get the images for Mac OS, right? You can even select your computing power, your CPU, right? You can even select you have got an option for RAM, storage space, network card. You can also set the firewall, which should be the inbound traffic, which should be the outbound traffic, what ports to be export, right? And you can even provide a bootstrap script. Now, when I say bootstrap script, like while initiating your VM, you can define a script, a shebang, so that when you are initiating your VM at the startup itself, your code is executed. So that's one of the functionality offered by Amazon EC2. Now, this is something that we are going to see today, right? So, but before proceeding forward, I would like to highlight few of the instance types before proceeding. So, currently, Amazon offers 7 types of EC2 instances, which include general purpose, compute optimize, memory optimize, acceleration computing, storage optimize, and high memory optimize. So, these instances and this categorization has been made as per the purpose and as per the use case of the user, right? So as per your ease and as per your requirement, you can choose either one of them, right? So that was just a slight introduction so that you can get familiar with the terminologies, right? And we are going to cover all of them in detail in the following videos. But as of now, in this video, we are going to learn how we can launch an EC2 and how we can add a bootstrap script to it. And also we are going to see what are the configurations option we get over the Amazon EC2, right? So let's switch to our AWS Management Console. I have already logged in through my Terraform user, which you can see over here. And then currently I am in North Virginia region, right? You can even switch your region from here, right? And I'll keep it by default. And the first thing that I am going to use here is EC2. You can either click over here, you can either search it here, just type EC2 and it will get popped up. And if you want to mark those services over the side pane, you can just mark it as a favorite one and it will be highlighted here. So click on EC2 and then you need to click on instances. So basically, when you go to EC2 dashboard, this is an overview where you can get all the information related to the instances, where it will show you the running instances, right? And what are the instances which are in currently stop and terminated states, how many load balances you have, the count of security groups, volume, snapshot, key pairs, elastic IP, auto scaling groups, right? So let us start with initiating an instance. So just click on instances and then since we do not have any of the instances created, we are going to either click on this launch instance or you can either click on this orange button. So click on launch instances, and you just need to give the name to your server. So I'll just write AWS server, scroll down. As I mentioned earlier, we have predefined template created on AWS. So these are the different templates which we get on AWS. So there are multiple distros, let it be Ubuntu, Red Hat, SUSE Linux, right? Debian. So these are the different sort of variants you get on AWS. You even get an image for Windows and for Mac OS. If you want to explore more AMIs, you can click here and you will get multiple distros, right? Moving forward. So basically, this is the distro that we'll be going forward with, that is Amazon Linux, right? And this is the AMI that we would be using, right? Okay. Moving forward, yeah. Also, one more thing to notice, you can see that is it is free tier eligible, right? So based on our requirement, we can either change this thing, right? But since we are here for learning purpose, we are going to select free tier eligible, right? And as we already know, there is a machine architecture of every VM. Here we are getting two options for 62-bit x86 and second is ARM, but we would be going forward with x86, that is default one. And here we are getting AMI ID, which is known as Amazon Machine Image ID. So basically, Amazon gives its services a unique ID for identification. So this AMI ID will be very much handy for provisioning your infrastructure whenever you will be using Terraform, right? Okay, moving forward now, instance type. As I mentioned earlier, there were seven types of instance that we can launch as per our requirement. So this is just a small breakup of the same thing, which we are going to explore in the forthcoming videos. But for now, we are going to use T2 Micro, which consists of one CPU, 1 GB memory, and it belongs to the family T2, right? And it is also free tier, so we do not need to worry about the billing cost. Unless and until you're terminating your VMs, you don't need to worry about anything, right? Now proceeding forward with the next option, that is key pair. So let's consider that there is a door that you want to open and that's your home store. So in order to unlock your door, you need a key, right? So this key pair works at the same way. Like you just need to create a key. You need a key to unlock the door. Just like the same way, this key pair works. So whenever you are taking a remote access, this key pair will be handy for you to access the VM. So we are going to create a new key pair. So click over here and I'll write AWS server and then I'll click on create key pair, which will be helpful for us to take an SSH access. Moving forward, here we are getting network settings and you can see we are getting a public IP automatically, right? Which we are going to use for accessing our Apache server, right? Okay, moving forward. So there are two options in the firewall section. As I mentioned earlier, firewall basically used for inbound and outbound traffic. Which one to choose and which one to not. Which port do you want to block and which port do you want to expose? Since we will be working with Apache server, we will need a port number 80 to be exposed. For that, we are going to click on this allow HTTP traffic from internet. And second is we are going to keep this option as by default, that is allow SSH traffic from anywhere, that is 0.0.0.0/0, right? So since this is the first time we are operating, we are going to go forward with the default option. We are just going to check mark this HTTP because we want to access the file stored in the Apache server, which we are going to install through Bootstrap. Okay, moving forward. Now there are configuration storage option, that is 8 GB by default. We are not going to touch it as of now, and we are going to move forward. And then we are going to click on advanced details and scroll all the way to the down where we are going to write or uh, script, a bootstrap script, which will be initiated while we are running our VM, right? So for that, we are going to define a shebang hash colon slash bin slash bash. Okay. Now the first thing that we would be doing is we are going to update the system. So we are going to write yum update hyphen y, and then we are going to install Apache server. So for that, yum install -y httpd. Proceeding forward, once httpd is installed, we need to start the server. So for that, systemctl enable httpd, and then we are going to start the server. So for that, systemctl start httpd, right? Now the next thing would be we need to create one file. So for that, we are going to write echo hello world. But since we need to print our hostname, for that we would be using dollar hostname hyphen f, which will print our hostname. All right, and we are going to mark it as an heading one. If you are aware of HTML, it will be easier for us to see the text and it will give the heading one, right? Okay, so it will print hello world and followed by our host name, right? So what we'll do, we are going to store this file to slash where www/html, which is the default directory where the index file is been stored, and the name of this file would be index.html by default. Okay, so this is the shebang that we have created. One correction over here, that we are going to start the service first and then we are going to enable it. Okay, now it looks good. So what we did, we created a shebang and then we updated the system. We installed Apache server. We started the server, we enabled the servers, and then we created a file which will print hello world followed by the host name, and that file will be stored in where www.html, and the file name would be index.html. And how we would be accessing it, because we have enabled HTTP, that is port number 80, so that would be the source of reference for us, and through that we will be accessing a file. So all the things are on their place and we are good to go, and we can launch the instance. So as you can see, it is launching this instance, it is creating the security groups, it is defining the rules, right? So now you need to click over here and you can see that your VM is currently in pending state because it is now provisioning the system. Now consider if it might be an on-premise hardware, it would be very hard for you to configure the changes. But when you do the same on Amazon EC2, it becomes easier. It becomes clickable for you because you don't need to worry about hardware. You just need to think about the configurations that you need to do, right? You just need to be clear about what CPU you need, what memory you need, right? Which ports that needs to be that you want to give access, which ports you need to block, right? So this is all that you need to think about, and rest has been taken care by AWS. Now just refresh it and you can see that the instance state is in running state. However, the status check is initializing. All right, no worries. Now just click over here. Here, as you can see, we are getting an instance ID. As I mentioned earlier, AWS gives a unique ID to all its resources. So this is a unique ID that we are getting, that is instance ID. As we have noticed earlier, it enabled public IP assignment to this server. So this is the public IP which we would be using for our practical, right? I'll just copy it. Okay. This is the private IP that we are getting. This is the DNS. All right, this is the host name that we are getting. So when we will be opening our Apache server, at the time we will be getting this thing printed over the screen. And this is the VPC ID, subnet ID, and lots of details which are present over here, right? So yeah, now the next thing that we will need to do is we have created the VM, right? We have initialized the Bootstrap script. Now the third thing would be to access the file. So in order to access the file, you just need to copy it from here. And we are already aware that we have enabled HTTP over our VM while initializing. So just need to open a tab and type HTTP colon slash slash followed by the public IP which you copied. Now once you press enter, you are going to get hello world followed by the host name. Now when you match the host name with this one, it will be the exactly same. So that was all about EC2 instance. I hope you learned how you can create a VM, how you can configure a VM, how you can add Bootstrap file to the same, right? And lastly, do not forget to terminate the instance after the use, right? So go to actions select your VM, go to instance state, and then click on terminate. All right. So that was all about this video. I hope you learned a lot from this one. See you in the next one where we are going to learn in depth about EC2. This was the basic video. See you in the another one. Thank you.